wanted to give you an update on some of my fruit trees. This one here is my Australian finger lime. These trees will grow in zones 8 through 11. Fortunately, this is one of those that will do well growing in a container. It's been in this 10-gallon container for about a year and a half, and it continues to do well. So if you live outside growing zones 8 through 11, you can keep it in a container and move it to a protected area during the winter. And as you can see, even growing in a container, it's pushed out a good crop. These larger finger limes are just about ready for harvest. The other smaller ones still need another month or so before they'll be ready to pick. Maybe even longer for some of these other ones. These down here are just starting to form, so it'll be a while before they're ready to pick. This tree put on a good amount of growth. Here's what it looked like last year. I haven't done any pruning so far. I'm going to wait until next season, then prune some of these larger branches you see here. These are getting a bit too big. It's still a young tree, so I'm just going to trim a few of the branches for shape control. Okay, this next one is my Hass Avocado. It started to set fruit earlier this year in April. These avocados should be close to being ready for harvest. If you've seen some of my previous posted videos, you've heard me talk about the squirrel that's been helping himself to the fruit growing in my backyard. I've been using these mesh bags to keep him off the few that remain. It seems to be working. I haven't lost any since I started using them. From what I've read, avocados can take up to 8 months to ripen. In certain areas, it can even take longer. These are approaching 7 months. They're still a bit small, so hopefully they'll put on a little bit more size before they're ready for harvest. This tree is also starting to shed some of the older leaves. It's already lost a few, and as we get into winter, the majority of the older leaves are eventually going to fall off. I've owned this tree for several years, and it does it every year. It seems to be a normal process. It's pushed out a few new leaves, like these here. But in spring is when the real flush of new growth comes in. I'm hoping by next season the squirrel won't be a problem. Hoping the mesh bags continue to work, so hopefully I'll get a bigger harvest. This other one is my Mexicola Avocado. It recently flowered back in August. It produced a large amount of flowers and started to develop a good amount of avocados, but eventually all but one fell. This one was the only one that wound up setting. Put on a good amount of growth. I'm guessing it won't be ready for harvest until sometime around April, May next year. I bought this tree about 4.5 years ago. It started off well, but a couple of years ago it lost all its leaves and nearly all the branches dried. I thought it was dead. I wound up repotting it thinking it may have developed root rot. Within a short time it began to put out new growth, and now as you can see it's doing well. This last one is my starfruit tree. It's doing much better now. Just a few months ago it was suffering from a severe case of chlorosis. Here's what it looked like back then. As you can see, the majority of the leaves had turned yellow. They eventually fell off within a few days. If you look closely, you'll see that this tree has a very heavy set of flowers. I believe that may have been the reason it had such a severe case of chlorosis. I think it's had such a heavy set of blooms that the tree must have gone into shock. It was just too many, it just produced too many blooms for a tree growing in a 15-gallon container. Every winter the leaves on this tree start to turn yellow. However, it's never been as bad as this. Thankfully, it's a condition that's easily corrected by adding some gelated iron, which is what I did. Within just a few days, the leaves stopped turning yellow, and eventually it fully recovered, putting on plenty of new growth. And now here it is. There's still a few leaves that are yellow, but not nearly as many as it had back in August. I've been keeping a close eye on it. I recently gave it another foliar application of gelated iron, so it should do well. Initially, a good amount of fruit started to develop, but they wound up dropping most of them, and only a small amount set. Some of them have put on a good amount of growth. These are good size, but still need a little bit more time to develop. When they're ready for harvest, they'll turn to a yellowish golden color. Here's a picture of one I picked earlier this year in April. When they reach this color, that's when they're ready for picking. I'll be sure to post a follow-up video as soon as I start to harvest some of these. Well, that will be it for this video. I hope you enjoyed watching. If so, please consider subscribing to my channel, and don't forget to give this video a like. I'll be posting videos on a regular basis, so subscribe and follow along as my backyard orchard matures. Until the next time, stay safe, grow your own, and thank you for watching.